house in Baltimore and the campaign still have yet to surrender a point. The Cleveland Browns will be out to change that on Sunday. This guy covers all things Browns for BrownZone.com, as well as the longtime Browns writer at the Chronicle Telegram, Elyria, as well as the Medina Gazette out in suburban Ohio. Rough weekend out there for the football team, Scott Petrick. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, the Buckeyes loss is a shock. Actually, the Browns loss, I think, was kind of encouraging because I didn't expect them to stay that close to the Steelers.
Well, and they did, and we were scoreboard watching, and I think to some degree we expected the Bengals to get back into this thing, but an improved version of the Browns, Scott. I mean, tell me how you see it. You're out there. I think every year, all the Browns writers, everybody I know in Cleveland is somewhat hopeful that this is the year they can win 6 or 7, right?
Yeah, you know what? I ended the season not particularly hopeful record-wise, and I'm not ready to change that. I predicted 4-12, but I'll tell you what, coming off that opener against the Steelers, I do have a sense of encouragement, and a part of that is because the defense played really well. And we saw that during the preseason, but I wasn't sure it would translate against a high-powered offense like Pittsburgh's, and it did. They kept them to 2 touchdowns, 2 offensive touchdowns, and if Antonio Brown had made a couple of just miraculous catches, it wouldn't have even been that. And then I liked what I saw to Deshaun Kaiser. The rookie quarterback, I thought handled himself extremely well, gave him a chance to win the game. And if it weren't for a block punt for a touchdown to start the season, we might be talking about a crazy Browns upset.
Well, I mean, and run me through the defense there. I mean, clearly they sort of took the run away. Antonio Brown's going to beat a lot of teams, and the Ravens have been drafting to try to beat him or the Hines Wardses that came before him for a number of years, as have the Browns. I mean, from the Browns' defensive perspective, I felt like their best defensive player was playing for the Steelers last week, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, Joe Hayden obviously was a surprise cut late in the preseason. Winds up with the Steelers. Certainly would have been one of their top 3 corners, in my opinion, and would have been on the field a ton. And who knows if he would have made a difference or not made a difference. And they were losing. They didn't have Myles Garrett, the number 1 overall draft pick, was out with a high ankle sprain. So, I think that showed up because they only had 1 sack of Roethlisberger. They only hit him the 1 time, and you'd like to think that Myles Garrett would have changed that. But the reason the defense is better is it starts with defensive coordinator Greg Williams. He went and got him in the offseason after 1 year with Ray Horton, and Greg Williams just brings a different attitude. He brings a different mindset. He affects change immediately in his scheme, and you add in the fact that they have Jamie Collins now for a full season. Chris Kirksey is getting better. They got a second-year guys in Manuel Agba and Carl Nassib up front, and then Jabril Peppers at free safety. So they added some new pieces. They're still really young. There's not much depth. But I think there's reason to think that this defense was going to show up every week.
Who's their best player right now? Is it still Joe Thomas, in your opinion, Scott?
It is. Jamie Collins, I think, is a close number 2. And then, obviously, you've got to see what Garrett can do. But I think those are your top 3 guys.
He is Scott Petrick. He covers all things Cleveland Browns at BrownZone.com. He's a repeat offender around here and has seen many a Browns loss around here. For you with optimism here, give me the optimistic view on how they get to 4 or maybe 5 or 6 and exceed your expectations. But what is going right for them as you see it? And I guess we're going to get a chance to check back in 10 weeks from now when we make our trip out there to Northern Ohio. I don't expect the Browns to be in the race, but every year when I talk to all of you guys out there, I'm like, it feels to me like Joe Hayden was a comer. I mean, they had Alex Mack out there, and he was coming on, and then Tayshaun Gibson. And, we've been through all of that, but nothing's really changed with the record. But they've had some good football players come through there the last 5-6 years.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Not enough, obviously. And the other biggest problem is they let those guys get away. All those guys you mentioned aren't on the roster anymore. And that's got to change. And we saw it even in this offseason when they let Terrell Pryor get away, and they tried to replace him with Kenny Britt, who had a huge drop in the opener, had a terrible preseason, and Hugh Jackson's thinking about yanking him from the starting lineup after 1 game when they signed him to a 4-year, $32 million deal. But having said all that, they've drafted 24 guys in the last 2 years. A lot of these guys high in the draft. They signed Kevin Zeitler to play right guard, J.C. Treader to play center. They traded for and then signed to a long-term extension Jamie Collins. So they're trying to put the pieces in place. I just think if you're a Browns fan, you might be frustrated by the pace because it feels like it's taking a long time. Even though it's only the second year with Sashi Brown running the show, it feels like the goal is to win in 2018, 2019, 2020. That feels a long way away when you're in week 2 of 2017. But they have a plan, and if they're going to win this year, if they're going to do anything this year, it's going to be because they run the ball with Isaiah Crowell, they do play action and throw over the top with Deshaun Kaiser, who's got the big arm, and they play great defense and hold the other team to 17 points or fewer.
There's not a whole lot of guys here that have any association with the awfulness of the franchise. You know, every one of you guys and all the fans and all the ticket holders and that poor guy that sits below me in the press box every year that looks like he's aging 5 years a year every year. You know, that's for the fans, that's for the league, that's for the pundits, but other than Thomas, I mean, Bitonio's been there a little bit. Coleman's been there a little bit. You know, Shelton's been there a minute or two now. But I look up and down this roster and I say there aren't a whole lot of people that are familiar with Mike Pettin or familiar with you know, Pat Shurmur or you know, any number of the names that have been through there running that place.
No, you're right about that. I mean, that's what happens when you fire a coach every year or two, and you do the same with the GM. There's so much turnover. And it's even if when you're in the building every day like I am, it's tough to get kind of a foothold because it changes every couple of years, you know. And hopefully, from a Browns perspective, that will stop, right? And Sashi Brown will be the guy making the draft picks, and Hugh Jackson will be the guy making the, you know, coaching on the sideline for years to come. But in order for that to happen, they have to have success in the win-loss column, and it has to happen relatively soon. Maybe not this year, but relatively soon. So all of a sudden, Joe Thomas isn't the only guy who you can buy a jersey of and feel comfortable that he's going to be on the team for a couple of years. You'd like to think Myles Garrett, Jabril Peppers, Chris Kirksey, those kind of guys will be here for a decade or so. And if that's the case, then they got a chance to finally maybe move out of the basement and contend in the AFC North.
Full disclosure, Scott Petrick, I was away on Labor Day weekend. I didn't even look up to see, you know, I saw the Joe Hayden thing. I didn't realize Sammy Coates was jettisoned out of Pittsburgh until very late in the week, and seeing him resurface, you know, he was a guy that I liked. I think the Ravens maybe even liked him coming out of the draft 2 years ago. You know, that's another guy there that at least brings some offense that if he could ever get on track, and we're still trying to figure out Perryman around here amongst others, but you know, he was a well-thought-of guy in Pittsburgh for a minute or two, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's got some skills. He can get down the field. Might be a little bit of a one-trick pony, can only run, you know, go routes down the field, and then he drops some of those. But I'll tell you what, on this receiving core, I mean, they changed out 3 of the 6 guys over the weekend before the season started. So they brought in Coates, they brought in Casey Williams from Seattle, and they brought in Reggie Davis from, I think, Arizona or Atlanta. So they got 3 new guys. They're looking for anybody that can help Deshaun Kaiser out. Somebody that can get open, somebody that can hang on to the ball. And I'm not sure they found it in any of these guys, but I think they're all going to get an opportunity at some point in the season. Coach didn't play at all except on special teams against the Steelers. But I think these guys will get the chance because they need somebody to help Kaiser out and make some plays for the young kid, or else his development isn't going to go as fast as it needs to.
Scott Petrak joining us here from Cleveland. He is a Browns beat writer for BrownsZone.com, as well as the longtime beat writer for the Elyria Chronicle-Telegram and the Medina Gazette out in suburban Ohio. You can follow him out on Twitter at Scott Petrak. That's Petrak. And, you know, for the Kaiser thing, this is just the latest guy that's going to come in here with an orange helmet on and be the quarterback under center. You know, I've heard all of this from Johnny Football back to Tim Couch and everything in between. Some thoughts for him and a vote for him, and obviously the Osweiler experiment didn't last long. I mean, Cody Kessler and Kevin Hogan around. I mean, Kaiser's sort of the last line of defense here. He's going to play, right?
Yeah, I like him. You know, and Hugh Jackson said earlier in the week, he gives us hope. And I think that's legitimate. And I'm sure people felt the same way about Johnny Manziel and maybe even Brandon Weeden and, you know, you named a bunch of other guys. But to me, and I hope I'm not just being a prisoner of the moment, to me this seems more realistic to hope in this kid. And a lot of that is because he's 6'4", 233, looks like he was built to play in the AFC North, took a pounding against the Steelers and kept getting up, has a big arm, can run a little bit. And on top of all those physical traits, I like the intangibles with him. He's a smart kid. Hugh Jackson says when he comes to the sideline, he knows exactly what he was looking at. He read the defense the right way. He went to the right spot with the ball most of the time. And if you have those qualities and you work hard, which everybody says he does, then you're going to fix those mistakes. So I think this kid's got a chance to be good and to be the long-term answer. Now he needs to get rid of the ball a lot faster. He can't take 7 sacks, and most of them are his fault. He needs to polish up the accuracy because the ball placement is off. Even on quick hitches and short routes, the guys are kind of having to turn to catch the ball. But if he can fix those things, I think he's got a big upside, and he fits in at least physically with the Flaccos and the Big Bens of the world.
I don't know why Zeitler signed there, believing he was going to win, taking a lot of money, but Lord knows I spent the whole week last week talking to all the Cincinnati guys about his departure, and then certainly when there was no protection at all for Andy Dalton on Sunday, and the Ravens really took it to him, the Zeitler name has come up all weekend. Now we're going to see him this week. Some thoughts about that expense for the Browns, and Lord knows they had nothing but salary cap space to go throwing around the last couple of years, right?
Yeah, here's the thing. I like the fact that they invested in the offensive line because it needed to be improved, especially after they let Alex Mack and Mitchell Schwartz walk away in free agency the year prior. And I'm not going to rip them because they did have all the salary cap space in the world. However, you just wonder how much money you can invest in the interior of your offensive line. They spent a good amount of money on J.C. Tretter. They make Zeitler the highest paid guard, and then they give Bitonio an extension when he was coming off 2 seasons of injuries. And I like Joe Bitonio a lot. If he's healthy, he's a really good player. That's a lot of money to invest in your middle 3 guys when you're also paying Joe Thomas a lot at left tackle. So, I have no problem in the short term, and I think if you have a young quarterback, which even if Kaiser's not the guy, you're going to have a young quarterback behind these guys, you got to protect him, and you need to run the ball, so it makes sense to me. I'm just not sure. Let's say they get to do this again and they get to rebuild the offensive line again. I'm just not sure you can invest that kind of money time in and time out.
You going to see Myles Garrett as a difference maker when he does come back?
Yeah, as long as he's healthy. I'm telling you what, throughout the training camp, throughout preseason, the guy was big time. And I was so looking forward to seeing how he do against the Steelers and do against the Ravens. And now we're going to have to wait. It'll probably be a month before he's back. But if he's healthy, he's got everything you're looking for. I mean, he's 6'4.5", 272, can bend, can get really low. I think he's a good player, a real good player, and he's something the Browns haven't had. They haven't had one of those scary pass rushers in forever.
Dude, none of this matters. I mean, let's be honest. The Indians haven't lost in a month. You guys are just waxing up your Game 1 tickets right now for the playoffs there, and you got the Cavaliers coming back, the new-look Cavs coming your way in a couple weeks. So the Browns are just passing time right now, right?
Yeah, but you know how it is. It's a Browns town. If they can win a couple of these early games, and the schedule's not that hard. After Baltimore, they go to Indy, home for Cincinnati, home for the Jets. If they can get off to a start where they've got 2 or 3 wins at mid-October, people will be excited. Now, nobody has the expectations they do for a championship like you have with the Indians and the Cavs, but people still show up for their Brownies.
All right, man. Well, always a pleasure to check in with you, Scott. Keep the faith, and hey, man, beware that Ravens defense. They're pretty good, buddy.
I know. Kaiser's got his work cut out for him.
Great having you on, Scott. Thanks for the time, man.
Thank you.
Scott Petrak joining us here from Ohio, one of our defending champions and coverers of all things Browns. He's at brownzone.com, also at his name on Twitter. That's Scott, Petrak, and Scott Petrak. He is the Browns writer for the Elyria Chronicle-Telegram, as well as the Medina Gazette. We always appreciate him and all of our friends in Cleveland for getting together with us this week. It's fun being in the AFC North. I really like the guys in Cincinnati and the guys in Cleveland as well as in Pittsburgh. Don't tell anybody about the Pittsburgh. I don't like all of them in Pittsburgh. Don't give me a hard time if I do that, but I do get along with the coach. You can find me out in the Buy a Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. Big thanks to everybody that supported our Roost Chris golf tournament for There Goes My Hero on Tuesday. This week we had a lot of celebrities out. Scott McGregor and Al Bunbury and Rick Dempsey and Bruce Laird and Rick Volk. And I go down the line. Dave Johnson was running around. around out there, and Ken Singleton was with us. So big thanks to all of them. Don't forget, Wednesday night, we are at Greenmount Station in Hampstead, swabbing for the bone marrow registry, doing that with center Ryan Jensen as well as right tackle, Austin Howard. So that'll be at 7:30, Greenmount Station. Come for the crab cakes, stay for the conversation. Let's have some fun up in Hampstead, Carroll County, where the Ravens are still 1-0 this week. The morning newspaper ships to your email inbox each and every morning at 7 a.m. That's all brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com, where it's $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life and only a quarter to get involved, because they're 25 years now at it at PlanetFitness.com and PlanetOfTriumphs.com as well. Tech Service brings you all the breaking news, all the injury reports, anything that's going on. You want to be on the WNST Tech Service. That's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Dennis will be here on Thursday from 3 until 5, driving you home with the SSV on WNST. I am nasty at WNST.net. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook Live, as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. We're going to be in London next weekend on Saturday from 11 until 3. We're all meeting at the Fox at XL in the Docklands area of East London. It's very, very close to the Emirates Air cable car. We're going to march down to the cable cars and take the cable cars across the River Thames, a little purple cable car ride to the O2 Arena for Saturday afternoon. So if you're coming over to London, make your plans to join us from 11 to 3 on Saturday. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.